Today, we are constructing a dual boot layout with Kali Linux alongside Windows 10 or 11 on a single storage drive. Every time you turn on your PC, a master boot menu will appear, giving you total control. Boot into Windows for your everyday tasks, or switch to Kali Linux for ethical hacking, cybersecurity research, and penetration testing. Before we go any further, a mandatory security reminder: Kali Linux is an advanced professional security toolkit. Use these utilities responsibly and exclusively on hardware, networks, and applications that you own or have explicit, written authorization to test. First, open up your web browser and search for Download Kali Linux. Head straight to the official portal at kali.org. Never source a security-focused operating system from third-party mirrors. Verifying the cryptographic integrity of your download is vital. On the Downloads page, navigate to the Installer Images section. For a bare metal dual boot configuration, locate the standard 64-bit installer ISO and click Download. The file is roughly 4 GB, so let it run in the background. While that download processes, open a new tab and search for Rufus download. Head to the official domain at rufus.ie, scroll down to the file repository, and grab the latest standard executable version. Rufus is a tiny utility under 2 MB, so it will download instantly. Ensure both files are fully pulled down before moving to the next configuration step. Navigating Windows Defender. Before we write the image to our flash drive, we must address a critical step: temporarily disabling Windows Defender real-time protection. It is important to understand why we do this. Kali Linux's installation images ship with specialized security analysis tools, exploit frameworks, and low-level system binaries that Windows Defender frequently flags as structural threats. These are false positives. Defender is simply reacting to the signature profiles of penetration testing tools, not actual malicious behavior targeting your machine. If Defender remains active while Rufus flashes the image, it may silently quarantine or delete critical bootloader components, causing your subsequent system installation to fail. To toggle this off safely, tap your Windows key, search for Windows Security, and open the app. Click into Virus and Threat Protection, select Manage Settings, and switch the toggle for real-time protection to off. Leave this off only for the 10 to 20 minutes it takes to create our USB, and we will turn it right back on afterward, creating the bootable Kali media. Now, plug a blank USB flash drive into your PC. Launch Rufus by double-clicking the executable and accept the Windows Administrative Account Control prompt. At the very top under the device dropdown, double-check that your targeted USB flash drive is selected. Be completely certain here the flashing process will completely erase everything on that drive. Move down to Boot Selection, click Select, navigate to your Downloads folder, choose the newly pulled Kali Linux ISO, and click Open. Rufus will automatically align the correct partition maps. Click Start. Rufus may prompt you to download minor background dependency files to support the ISO layout. Click Confirm to authorize it. Accept the structural formatting warning and let the process cook for about 10 minutes. Once the progress bar fills completely and reads a green ready, close Rufus. Jump right back into your Windows security settings and toggle real-time protection back on to keep your host environment safe. Checking the BitLocker encryption bottleneck. Before we adjust our hard drive partitions, we must check a critical security variable: is Windows built-in disk encryption tool. If it is actively locking your hard drive while you try to inject Kali's bootloader, it can severely corrupt the boot path and block you from accessing your Windows files later. To verify your encryption status, open the Windows Start menu, search for Control Panel, and open it. Navigate to System and Security, and select BitLocker Drive Encryption. Look closely at the status of your primary C drive. If it explicitly reads BitLocker off, you are completely clear to proceed. However, if it reads BitLocker on, you must click Turn off BitLocker and allow the system to fully decrypt the drive before taking another step. Depending on your storage drive size and speed, this decryption cycle can take anywhere from a few minutes to an hour. Do not skip this step. Altering a bootloader on a drive actively locked by BitLocker can cause real recovery headaches. You can easily re-enable BitLocker inside Windows once our dual boot is fully established, carving out storage and disk management. With encryption verified, let's carve out some bare metal real estate for our Kali environment. We'll do this entirely inside Windows using the native disk management console. Right-click your Windows and select Disk Management from the Power User menu. A visual map layout of your machine's physical storage drives will populate. Locate your primary C drive partition, right-click the volume block and select Shrink Volume. Windows will query the drive to calculate the maximum available space you can safely pull. In the field labeled, enter the amount of space to shrink in megabytes. We need to input our target size. For a basic evaluation layout, 30 gigabytes is the functional minimum. However, for a comfortable Kali setup where you'll actively save packet captures, word lists, and tools, 50 gigabytes or more is highly recommended if your storage allows it. Take your custom gigabyte target, multiply it by 1024, and enter that exact integer. Click Shrink. Within a minute, a brand new storage block highlighted in dark gray and labeled as unallocated will appear at the end of your disk map. A critical absolute instruction: do not format this block, do not assign it a drive letter, and do not initialize it. Leave it exactly as an unallocated blank space. Kali's structural installer will target and partition the space automatically. Disabling secure boot in UEFI BIOS. We need to modify one final system firmware parameter before we can boot from our installation media. Disabling secure boot. Secure boot is an essential security layer embedded within modern motherboard firmware, designed to block unverified third-party operating system components from executing during startup. While excellent for daily safety, it will explicitly block Kali's custom GRUB bootloader from installing correctly. To disable it, reboot your PC and repeatedly tap your motherboard's native setup key, usually delete, F2, F10, or F12 depending on your manufacturer. Navigate to the Security or Boot Configuration tabs. Locate the parameter labeled Secure Boot and switch its state to Disabled. Head to the Exit menu, select Save Changes and Exit, and confirm the action. Initializing the boot device selector. With Secure Boot disabled and your flashed USB drive plugged in, let's force the machine to boot directly from the external media. If you aren't using a direct motherboard boot menu hotkey during startup, the cleanest way inside Windows is via Settings, System, Recovery. Under the Advanced Startup tab, click Restart Now. When the blue configuration menu populates, select Use a device. Look through the hardware listings for your specific USB drive. It may present under its generic manufacturer brand or display the explicit Kali Linux label. Ensure only your target installation flash drive is hooked up to avoid confusion. Click it and let the PC reboot straight into the media. Executing the graphical installer. Your machine will cycle and initialize the external bootloader, presenting the primary Kali launch menu. Use your keyboard arrow keys to scroll down, highlight graphical install, and hit enter. This launches a clean visual interface for the setup wizard. Give the kernel a minute to load its hardware drivers. When the main window populates, select your preferred system language and click Continue. Map out your geographical country to align your local time zones. The installer will automatically probe your hardware interfaces to establish network connectivity. Modern wired Ethernet lines and integrated Wi-Fi cards are typically indexed out of the box. Next, the wizard will prompt you to define a hostname for your machine. This is the alphanumeric string that identifies your device on a local network. Type in Kali, your name, or any tag you prefer, and click Continue. Leave the subsequent domain name field completely blank, unless you are deliberately configuring this machine within an enterprise corporate domain architecture. Click Continue, Account Setup, and Manual Disk Partitioning. Now, build your local user account profile. Input your full name, establish your system login username, and construct a highly secure, robust password. Do not lose or forget this credential string. Linux enforces strict administrative security parameters, and you will be required to type this password every time you log in or run an elevated command via the terminal. Hit Continue. We have now reached the disk configuration step, the absolute most vital part of the entire video. Follow these steps exactly to safeguard your pre-existing Windows data. When asked to select a partitioning method, explicitly choose Manual from the list and click Continue. A comprehensive index mapping out every single physical drive and pre-existing partition layout on your PC will populate. Scroll carefully down the storage tree until you pinpoint the entry explicitly labeled as free space, matching the exact capacity footprint we custom shrank inside Windows Disk Management. This free space is the only item you should interact with. Do not click, modify, or delete any adjacent blocks labeled as Windows NTFS, System Recovery, or Primary Bootloaders. Highlight the free space line item and click Continue. On the subsequent screen, select Automatically Partition the available free space and hit Continue. Choose All Files in one partition and click Continue. The wizard will present a clean structural summary showing exactly how it intends to divide that free space into an ext system root and a Linux swap allocation. Review the layout carefully to confirm that your primary Windows partitions remain untouched. When everything looks correct, highlight Finish Partitioning and write changes to disk and click Continue. Switch the final safety toggle from No to Yes to authorize the writes and click Continue. The installer will now format the space and copy the foundational base system files directly onto the drive. Software bundles and final desktop customization. Once the core system packages copy over, the installer will present the software selection dashboard. This layout allows you to choose your primary desktop environment and specific security tool configurations. If you are new to Linux, I highly recommend keeping the default selections completely unchanged. This includes the baseline XFCE desktop environment. XFCE is Kali's default interface for a reason. It is incredibly lightweight, ultra-fast, retains an optimal hardware performance profile, and matches the explicit interface layout you will see in almost all modern cybersecurity tutorials and documentation. Keep the core tool bundle flags toggled active as well to ensure your primary penetration testing frameworks are installed natively. Click Continue. When prompted to lock in your display manager, leave the default GDM3 flag checked and click Continue. The package manager will now download, unpack, and configure all your chosen application components. This is the longest phase of the deployment, taking anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes depending on your internet connection and local disk speeds. Let it run completely uninterrupted. The GRUB deployment and the first boot. Once the application packages are fully structured, the wizard will finalize your setup by deploying the GRUB bootloader. GRUB is a software interface that flags your dual boot configurations. The installer will confirm that it has detected your existing Windows boot manager. When it asks if you want to install the bootloader directly to your primary storage drive, select Yes and click Continue. Target your primary physical hard drive from the list below and click Continue to bind the boot paths. When the final installation complete screen populates, pull your installation USB flash drive out of the physical port and click Continue. Your machine will execute a fresh hardware reboot. As your PC power cycles, watch your monitor closely. You will be greeted by the brand new graphical text interface of the GRUB menu. This is your permanent dual boot interface. At the very top, you will see the entry for Kali New Linux, and further down the list, you will see your Windows boot manager. Use your arrow keys to highlight Kali GNU Linux and hit Enter. The system will boot straight to the native Kali access screen. Input the user credentials you created during setup, hit Enter, and welcome to your new bare metal Kali Linux desktop. Verifying Windows integrity and wrap up. Now let's do a critical validation check to confirm that your host Windows ecosystem remains completely undamaged and pristine. Click the upper right power menu inside your Kali desktop and select Restart. When the GRUB selector populates once more upon startup, use your down arrow key to highlight Windows Boot Manager and press Enter. Windows will initialize immediately, loading your desktop exactly as you left it, with every single file, application profile, and setting completely untouched. Both systems are now running bare metal on the exact same machine with maximum hardware performance. One final reminder before you begin exploring your new security playground: always act ethically and use these tools responsibly. TrueSkill is built by testing platforms you own or leveraging legal, highly structured capture the flag sandbox platforms like Hack the Box and TryHackMe. I highly recommend spinning up an account there to practice safely. If you ran into any structural friction at any point during your deployment, whether it's firmware access issues, partition mapping snags, or GRUB configuration bugs, drop your precise system hardware specs in the comments below, and I will help you troubleshoot. If this step-by-step breakdown saved you some troubleshooting headaches, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for practical technical deep dives every single week, and I will see you all in the very next video. Happy hunting!